So I bought the site for $120,000 2 years ago, and the projections for the development include a profit of $1.57 million. Hi, I'm Andrew Wright, Principal of Professional Southport, and this is the Andrew Wright Property Podcast. I've built a multi-million-dollar property portfolio, delivering a seven-figure annual rental income, and led my real estate team through thousands of sale and lease transactions. In each episode, I share real deals and strategies that will help you find, fund, and operate profitable property deals. The aim of this show is to provide education and build a community of like-minded investors who can collaborate, share insights, and help each other in each other's journeys. You can make excuses or you can make money, but you can't do both. So come and join us.
The message from today's episode is blunt. You have no excuses. Welcome back to the Andrew Wright Property Podcast. And once again, I'm joined in the studio by the one and only Andrew Wright. And today we are going to be unpacking a deal that happened in a small place known as
Helidon.
I was going to say Healdon. So where is Helidon?
It's the same suburb where I bought that 4 acres of industrial land in podcast number 6. So it's 15, 20 minutes away this side of Toowoomba.
Right. Okay. So rural again, and this is a small place,
massive population of about 1,000 people.
1,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't even imagine a place that that small. All right. So why look at a place so small? I think a lot of people listening would probably think I don't even.
I wasn't targeting it, but I look at every listing and it just came up, and I thought, well, geez, that's cheap. Now there was a reason why it was cheap, because it was out in the sticks. It was zoned commercial land, and any businesses that have been set up in that town have gone broke. All the shops are closed down. With such a small population, you can't build a retail shop there and expect any massive number of customers flowing through your business, and that's why the property was considered worthless.
Okay. So what was the property?
2,089 square metres of commercially zoned land in the main street. The local Gatton Shire planning scheme zoned it as a local centre plan or something like that, local town centre plan. And with each town plan, if you like, they actually have a list of uses that are consistent with that type of land that they want you to sort of develop. And what you need to do when you have a look at those sites is you go through the list on the council website and think, well, can I see any value in this land by complying with these different areas that they'll let you build on there, and determine whether you can make any money. So the particular guy selling it was a real estate agent. He owned the property himself. His plan for the site was to subdivide it into two, because there was a road on either side with 2 street frontages.
Okay.
He thought he'd subdivide it into 2.
Yep.
And after going through the list of consistent uses under the town plan, he believed the best use of the site was to build a shop with a caretaker's residence attached to it. So a little shop at the front.
Okay.
There's a door at the back of it. You open up and the person lives behind
it. Yep. You see that a fair few years ago, don't you? Usually with the little one above.
Above or behind is the legislation that is typical with most councils. That's correct.
Okay, so that was what he had planned to do with it.
Yep.
He had. Why didn't he progress with it?
I don't believe he had the money to actually progress it any further. He didn't have council approvals. He had just had a heart operation himself, wasn't making a lot of money in business because he wasn't working very hard, and he needed to get rid of the site. He wanted to sell it quickly because he was almost unemployed. He wasn't working much as an agent because of his health issues.
Okay. Now, when was this? When was this that you started to look at this?
Just under 2 years ago. I purchased it February 2024.
Okay. And what was your purchase price?
I purchased that site in a joint venture with my ex-wife for $120,000.
Okay. Now, was your plan the same as his?
No.
Okay.
No, so part of the due diligence, which I did all within a couple of days, was I logged on to the the council website, and I read through the list of consistent uses, and he'd been looking under a code that he thought was the best use, but I saw when I went through the list there was another one that sparked my curiosity, and it said multiple dwellings where constructed above or behind a commercial property, similar to the caretaker's one. But when I looked into it, instead of having a door at the back of the shop opened up to a connecting one-bedroom unit for the caretaker live, it didn't actually define that it had to be attached to the shop.
Just said behind.
Yeah, exactly. So I explored that, and I thought, well, if I buy this block of land, would that block of land be worth a lot more if I could build multiple separate 1 or 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom units on separate title behind the shops, not even attached to it?
Right.
And that's where I thought, well, maybe this land isn't worthless. Maybe it can be worth something if I explore the different
So as long
uses.
so you're thinking as long as I have a shop on one side, which ticks the box that it needs to have,
Yep.
and then on the other side, so on facing the road,
Facing the road had to be shops. So he had some plans drawn up on both roads. On one road, he had 3 shops and a little caretaker thing attached. On the other side, he had 2 shops with a door in it. So there was 5. He'd proposed 5 separate dwellings on there.
Oh, so okay, so it was going to be
5 shops and 5 little caretakers units behind it, attached to it. But each was going to be like only 5 properties, but they were actually like one little shop with a one-bedder with a door in
one
between
and one,
it, like
one
a
and
dual
one,
key
one
situation.
Right, okay. But you're thinking,
I had plans drawn up for 19 units.
wow,
Yeah.
okay. How many levels was that?
What I did was I'm not experienced as a developer from ground up construction. So I rang a town planner. I arranged for what they call a pre-lodgement meeting with council. I spent $1,000 or whatever it was paying the town planner to come with me. We sat and spoke to the gentleman at the council, and we quizzed him on what multiple dwellings would be allowed on there. And I was very surprised that he basically said you can build as much as you like behind those shops. They don't need to be attached, provided you comply with our car parking requirements for each unit, and provided that you don't go above 2 levels in height, because all of the other buildings in this town are only 2 levels.
Right. So
and we don't want some tall thing.
Some big high rise in the middle of middle of town, right?
And that excited me. I straight away thought, well, hang on, there's an opportunity here. And so what I did was, I paid an architect to go ahead and prepare plans. This is about 90% of the story. There's another 10% we'll get to in a moment, a hiccup that we came across.
Sure.
But I've got plans lodged already with council for 19 units on that site.
19 units plus the shop. Oh, that include the shops?
That includes the shops. So we've actually only got 3 shops.
Yep.
4 one-bedroom units.
Yep.
And 12 two-bedroom units.
But all crammed in, but with only 2 levels.
Correct.
Okay. So does that mean some of the units were on top of the shops?
Yes, there were 2 one-bedroom units above the 3 shops and 2 little one-bedders behind the shops.
Right. Okay.
Then that's building 1. And then in building 2, there are 12 two-bedroom apartments. And again, I've done this application requesting that they be done in 2 stages, so that if I can't afford, the bank doesn't trust me to lend me the money to build the whole lot. If I can only qualify for lending for stage 1, I only have to pay infrastructure charges on the first building. And if and when I do the second building, then I'll pay the 6-figure, whatever the amount is, for the infrastructure charges for building 2.
Sure. Okay. So you've put all the plans together.
Yep.
What happens next?
Yeah, so we got rejected by the council. And the main reason we got rejected is because the state government wishes to acquire or reclaim part of that land so that they can expand the Warrego Highway that goes to Toowoomba.
Right. And you had no idea about
I had no idea, because I made a mistake when I bought that land. My solicitor asked me if I would like to employ him to conduct further searches, to go through his checklist to make sure I wasn't making any mistakes. And I thought I'd save $500 by not paying him to do it.
Right. You thought, no, that we're in a tiny little town.
I'll be right. I did the checks, most of the checks. It's not in the flood zone.
Yep.
It's zoned correctly for what I want to do. There's no easements there. There's 2 road frontages there. It's cheap as chips. I can't go wrong. Don't worry about it. I'll save the $500.
Yep. But that would have brought this to light.
Yes, it was. And the seller did not disclose that he had received a letter from the state government saying we wish to purchase part of your land in the future. So I wasn't told. And these days, buyers would be protected from that because now we've introduced from 1 October last year a seller's disclosure statement in Queensland where a seller's lawyer needs to prepare a document and they need to tell you if
anything they know.
But at that time, 2 years ago, that legal requirement didn't exist and I got caught out.
Right. Okay. So where did that leave you then?
So what's happened now is we've had to write to an entity called SARA, whatever that stands for. It's part of the state government entity that looks after the public roads or whatever. And they've confirmed that they do want to buy part of that land off me at some stage to expand the highway. Now, part of the intricate process with that is I can't say, well, come and buy it now because I want to do a development.
Well, this is what I wanted to explore with you. Does that just leave you in limbo?
Yeah.
You can't do certain stuff there that you want to, but you don't know when. And are they even obliged to actually go ahead?
No, they're not obliged. And
so all it is a roadblock.
Yeah, I could be sitting there for 10 years and I still haven't got any money back from them for buying the land. So the process that I educated myself on and I didn't know, and for the first time I found out, is that you need to trigger an event which forces them to buy that land off you now. And one of the triggers, or the main trigger, is I need to lodge an application to say I'm going to build on that land and you need to tell me no to prove that I've gone down that track and now I can force you to make an offer to buy that land from me.
Right.
And that's what we've done.
That's what you've done?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. How did you get that advice? Where did you...
Well, the town planners had done it before.
Right.
Because they're buying land, obviously, from multiple other properties along that Warrego Highway between Ipswich and Toowoomba.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously going to expand it a couple of lanes or something and they need a bit more land next to the highway.
Yep. Okay. So you've put in your
development application.
Yep. And that's forced their hand.
Yes, and the council has said, look, we can't consider this until, they haven't said yes or no, they've said we can't consider this until the state government
comes back,
gets involved. The state government has now come back and said, no, we're not going to let you do it. So I still don't have approval. Only 2 days ago, the state government, SARA, has finally come back and confirmed which exact proportion of land they want to buy.
Right.
Now I've got to go through another process of employing my lawyer to represent me, to fill in some forms, to go to the state government and say, we want you to buy this land off us and give us some money for that land. And I'm now at the same time, independent of that, going back to the Lockyer Valley Council with amended plans for 15 units, not 19.
Which will be on the new parcel of land you have once...
It's the same parcel of land, but the back unit where there was the back building, the second building with 12 units will be cut down to 8 two-bedroom units instead of 12.
Because you've lost that
Because they're cutting off a bit of the land.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order for this to go ahead, does the state government have to have bought that land?
No. So I can proceed now with the local council now that the
because
state
they've told you
they've
exactly
defined exactly what land I
is.
can't build on.
Okay.
Now that puts the local council in a position where they can approve a development application on the other land that the state government doesn't want.
Right.
So that's all happening this week. Like we're just about to relodge the plans on 15 units, not 19 units.
Okay.
I don't have approval for that, but my architect and town planner, based on discussions with the local council, are extremely confident that I will get that approval for the 15.
There shouldn't be any reason now if the only blockage was the state government and what they needed.
Yes.
And you'd already spoken to that council.
Yes, there has been several changes from the council where they've come back and said, that turning circle in the car park is not big enough for the rubbish truck to come and collect the rubbish. You need to move this over here. And
so
they
had to tweak it.
Yes.
Yep. But
Yep.
okay, so is it too early for me to ask numbers on this, on what it's going to look like?
It's a big guess, and part of the reason it's a guess is, again, this is would be normally considered a high-risk development, as far as there are no similar examples of property developments done in that city. People live in houses there.
Yep.
I mean, even when you go to Ipswich, which is a much bigger city, I can count on my hand the number of unit developments that I've seen in Ipswich.
Yep.
Everyone owns a house there.
Yep.
And Helidon, I'm not sure that there is even a unit complex that exists. There's probably there's some duplexes, but I don't even think there are units. So this is what normal developers would say is a high risk pioneering thing, because there's no proof of concept. No one's actually built units before and made money. But my belief is, if I've bought the land for next to zero, which is usually a very, very large component of the costs, I think that it's worth a punt to be a pioneer.
Right.
And my initial calculations at the moment, and I've verified this with no concrete evidence, but with ChatGTP typing in and doing some numbers for me, that I think I could flick that land for $900,000 once I get the approval for 15 units. Sorry, 900 includes, I sell a bit of land to the government, and with the rest of the site, with an approval for 15 units, both of those sales there should get me around 900,000. We bought it for 120.
Yep.
We've spent possibly $60,000 or $70,000 paying architects and town planners. Let's say it's cost us 200.
Yep.
I've turned 200 into 900,000 in 2 years, which is a $700,000 profit, without picking up a shovel.
Yep.
Without
Is that
doing
the
anything.
plan, or do you want to actually build
The last
yourself?
6 months, I've been thinking, I'm too busy now in my business to be driving to Helidon every day supervising builders, and I have been thinking, wow, what an easy $700,000. I've dealt with all these problems. I've dealt with the problems with the land acquisition from the state government. I've done all the drawings up, and I've gone through all this hassle.
Yep.
Maybe I should just flick it and pocket the $700,000. But I've now been playing around with some building cost estimates.
Yep.
And even though building costs have risen substantially, my forecast shows a profit of $1.5 to $1.6 million in total if I actually go ahead and build those 15 units. Keeping in mind, I don't intend selling any of them. So we talked about a bucket list of 6 property strategies in the last episode.
Yep.
And strategy number 1 is I want to build those 15 units, and I want to keep them, and I want to rent them out, and I want my kids to inherit them.
Mm. So that's
the plan.
There's your opportunity. Okay. What can I ask? What rental vacancy rates are in the
very little. So
area?
I did, as part of my due diligence, ring a couple of local agents, and properties there rent very, very quickly. There's very limited. There's hardly any new land supply of residential land in Helidon, and not Townsville. Toowoomba is only 20 minutes away, and the houses there rent very, very quickly. So I've actually plugged through the numbers and spat out what I think the market rents will be there. And at the end of the day, the whole lot, there's about $270,000 a year of rent that'll come in from that development, which my family will keep every year. I'm not going to sell them. But one of the other decision-making processes I've had to make with this development application, which I may not have put in those little notes I sent you to talk about, is when you do a development like that, you need to decide, are you going to put it all on one title if you're keeping it? Most developers sell everything, of course, so it has to be on separate title, 15 separate titles. I could have kept it on one, but I've decided to build these things so that they can be on 15 separate titles, just in case I get in trouble and I need to sell a few.
Yep, good idea.
If I get in trouble. And also, what you'll find is if you have them on separate title, when you go and get it valued, a valuer will probably value them a little bit higher if they're actually each independent properties with their own water meters and all that type of stuff. They're actually worth a little bit more in a valuation as opposed to 15 properties on one title.
Right.
That might allow me to successfully get finance approval a lot easier because the valuation will come up a bit higher. Now, it may well be once I finish the thing that I don't sell any, and that's my goal.
Yep.
But having a higher valuation there will hopefully make it easier for me to get the finance.
Wow. Another incredible deal. The way you think, and I'm just really enjoying, how you go into things with one idea, but pivot.
Yeah.
To get the best deal. So what's the timeline on this now? Then you've said you've just resubmitted the.
Yeah. Well, we've just got the letter. I think when I was in Townsville yesterday, I saw it come up on my phone. So yesterday, Sarah's come back and said, "Yes, Andrew, we have now defined the land we want. You may proceed to go back to council and, re-amend your plans."
Sure.
So we haven't sent that to council yet. The architect will finalise those drawings in the next few days. We'll send it off, and then hopefully the Lockyer Valley Council gives within a month or so. We'll say, "Yes, Andrew, you can go ahead with these 15 provided you do these 25 things."
Yep.
And then we're set to go. And at that point in time, I will employ what's called a quantity surveyor, the same type of guys that do those depreciation reports, to say, well, what should it cost me to build this? Mm-hmm. And then I've got a metric, if you like, to go out to tender to 2 or 3 builders and say, please provide me a quote to build stage 1 and stage 2.
Yep.
And then I can have a look at the profitability there and go to the bank and say, will you lend me money based on these building quotes and the quantity surveyor's reports? In theory, if that land is worth $900,000, I have no loans on that. That's my deposit for the construction loan. Now, instead of putting in $900,000 cash, I've got $900,000 worth of land there. The bank takes the first mortgage. I don't have any loans on it now. Mm-hmm. So the bank will have that $900,000 of land as security, and hopefully they'll lend me most of the money required to do the building.
Yeah, what would you be hoping for? What sort of percentage from the bank?
Construction lending rates will be slightly higher. I haven't even gone down that track. I don't know. But one thing I can tell you is that it's completely different structure of the interest. So when you do a development like that with construction finance, it's what you call capitalised interest. I don't have to pay interest every month.
Yep.
I've got no money coming in when you're building. It's just money going out. So what they do is they'll let me pay that in 18 months' time when it's finished.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if it's a little bit higher. It will be higher. I don't know what it is. I haven't lodged it with the bank yet.
Yep.
But it will be higher, but I'll capitalise it so I don't have to pay the interest for 18 months until the project is finished.
Sure, sure. And how then do you, so you've obviously done your numbers on what rents could look like, what your rental return will look like on that, and that will easily cover the finance and be positive from day one? Yeah,
the cash flow looks good. It's not as good as a commercial property, as you know. Rental yields are a lot lower, and I have been very tempted for the last 18 months just to flick this site for that reason. My preference is not to hold a lot of residential property because of the lower yields.
Sure.
But when I have a look at the potentially $1.5 million markup on building this thing, I don't particularly want to go down the track of paying tax on a $1.5 million profit.
Yep.
I'd rather just diversify my commercial property portfolio and have another 15 residential. Oh, there's 3 commercials there and 12 resis.
Yep.
I'd rather just keep them and have an asset there which doesn't cash flow quite as well as my commercial, but at least it diversifies my portfolio a little bit, and I'm not going to go and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax. And remember, when you're doing development, there's no such thing as a 50% capital gains tax for holding an asset longer than a year. It's a business. You're in the business of developing, and you pay full corporate tax rate of 30%.
30%.
So I don't want to do that.
Sure. So what's the repeatable checklist here for people listening to this? If someone wants to copy this type of deal, what are your learnings from this one?
Oh, look, I think
well, number one, I can give to. Don't skip the search.
Don't just skip searches. Yeah, I tried to be a bit tight and save a bit of money on the searches. I mean, I reckon that I'm 99% sure that guy knew that the state government wanted to buy that land. He had to have known. He made money out of it, by the way. He bought that site for $70,000, I think, and I bought it off him for $120,000. But because of all the problems associated with the government buying some back, because any business set up in the main street of town in that city's gone broke, the idea of buying some commercial land going through the hassle of building a commercial property, trying to find a tenant and hope they don't go broke. That's why it was considered almost worthless.
Yep.
But going through, making the effort to see, well, is that really the highest and best use of that site? Going through what the local council thought were consistent uses for that land under the town planning scheme, I saw another opportunity there to use it a higher and better use. I basically had land there that I didn't have to pay for to build a whole heap of extra units that weren't attached to the front shop. I get a lot more yield out of the land, and I basically, again, made a deal happen by thinking outside the box, and the previous guy obviously didn't go through that process. He didn't think that was the best opportunity. So even if I don't build this, I could still change my mind tomorrow if I don't have the energy to do this.
Sure.
And I can just flick it. And if I don't get 900 and I only get 600, who cares? It's cost me 200.
Yep.
I've tripled the money in 2 years. And I've paid my wife back a little bit of that money that I lost by selling her house.
If you don't know what we're talking about, listen to the last episode.
That was why I went in joint venture with her. I want to help her make some more money, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, last question. You're pretty confident about your residential tenants.
Yeah.
But you did mention just then that most of these shops, most of the businesses on the main street have gone broke. Are you concerned about getting tenants for your 3 shops?
I am, and this is another reason why that land was close to worthless, is because who's going to set up a business there when every other business in the street has gone broke? Now, when you drive there, it's a ghost town.
Yep.
There is one IGA convenience store there. There is one pub, and I think every other business in that street has just closed down.
Right, so they're empty.
They're empty. So
who's gonna rent your shops?
I don't know, but once again, in real estate, sometimes if you want to make money, you have to take a punt and take on problems that no one else is prepared to take on. How I'm minimising my risk is when I saw the plans from the original owner, he had on the main street of Rowe 3 big shops starting here and it goes all the way back here with a little tiny 1-bedder unit behind it. What I thought was, why don't I bring this shop all the way back here and make these things? I've got 3 little tiny 40 square metre shops at the front, giving me more room to put more resi behind, resi on top, resi behind. So what I'm doing is I'm allocating the majority of land on that site for resi because I'm not confident that the commercial will work.
Do the numbers stack up if those shops remain vacant to keep all the properties and you still to be able to service your finance?
They will, because I have a backup plan that I can invest some additional money, perhaps putting in a business for myself, a credit card operated laundromat.
Yep.
So if no one else will run a business in there, I can whack in 3 or 4 washing machines, 3 or 4 dryers, put in a security camera, have a thingo there where you use your credit card, and I'll make it work. I'm pretty sure that if I put in a $30,000 grease trap, that someone will run a coffee shop there, because I've had a chat with one of the locals and they're saying that everyone in the town says we have to have a coffee shop in this place. There's 1,000 people there. There's no coffee shop.
Surely that would go okay.
I think that'll go away. And the third one, I'm thinking surely we can put a bed there and someone can run a massage business or something like that. We'll make it work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one
and just on that
out.
too, like my intention is, because I'm still shit scared of leasing those commercial ones, as soon as I get this approval, 1 year in advance, I'm going to be advertising these 3 shops on Real Commercial and Commercial Real Estate, forthcoming retail shops for lease. Expressions of interest. Email me if you're interested in running a business from these 3 shops. So I got a year to try and find a tenant, which there's still no certainty of it, but at least it's going to give me the best chance possible to rent those properties out. I don't want to build a laundromat.
No. So if anyone's listening and you want to open a shop in,
please bring me.
And if you're referred from this podcast, there will be.
But without that problem, there's no multiple dwellings behind. You're not allowed to just build residential there. So someone has to take a punt.
And I'm glad I pushed on that, because I wanted to see and sort of pull out of you that, yes, let's make the shops as small as we possibly can.
Yes.
Just to tick that box.
Yes.
So that we can build the stuff that does make money.
That's exactly right.
So, no, fantastic. Well, look, again, as we've mentioned a few times with, a lot of these episodes, we're going to do follow-up episodes as these things progress. So I look forward to seeing this one play out. And mate, I'd love how you take a risk. And most people would not even look at a 1,000-person town.
Yes, it's a risk, but let's have a look at the results there. If I pull the pin now, we've turned 200 into 900.
You can't. It's how much more risk you want to take.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
From here,
you've
right. You've gone and thrown 120 at it, and then just started jumping through all the red tape, and it looks like you've gotten to the point where that's going to all be cleared away, and now you've got your options, and you've made money there, even if you wanted to pull the pin here. And now it's what is your appetite now to take the next step?
Your analysis in all of these podcasts is surprisingly good, Adam, because you're not a developer or something. Like you're actually
learning, mate.
You're summarising things very well. But when I summarise that, I think of property development metrics. These days, most property developers will not take something on unless there's about a 20% profit margin in it. I have a look at that. Over 2 years, there's going to be 200 or 300% profit. Over 2 years, you divide that by half, it's 150% a year profit margin. Maybe because it was more risky than a normal development, but the numbers have turned out okay.
Really good one. Excellent. Well, look, please do hit subscribe on this podcast, and give us some comments, give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Jump on to www.andrewwrightproperty.com.au. Chuck in your email address there so you can stay up to date with whenever we release an episode, and we're going to be putting more and more valuable content to our subscribers. So please do join the mailing list there. And as always, wanted to remind you that the purpose of this podcast really is to educate, but also to create a community of like-minded property investor individuals that can collaborate, help each other, and ultimately potentially even do deals together. So please do jump in there. We'll be starting Facebook groups, all sorts of things as we progress. But look, thanks so much for joining us on this episode. We look forward to joining you on the next one. And Andrew, thanks once again.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for listening to the Andrew Wright Property Podcast. This is all about building a community of like-minded investors who can share real-life stories, experiences, and collaborate with a view to helping each other. Join us. Get in touch through the link in the show notes. I look forward to you joining me on the next episode.